If you like locating and tracing Roman roads in Britain, you probably use this Margary. Decades out of print, but still useful. And you might well use the Roman Roads Research Association. Those excellent fellows down there have seized the opportunities presented by LiDAR to find and correct the route of Britain's Roman roads. But there is another way, and that's what we're going to do here today in the Peak District. We're going to refer to an Anglo Saxon boundary charter. And to help us do that, we've got a real scoop for the channel. We have secured the services of that YouTube giant of Anglo Saxon charters, none other than Allotment Fox. We have managed to get him to leave the south. We couldn't get him to the north, but we have got him in the Midlands. And yep, I'm as surprised by that as you probably are. Now, he's not actually here yet. The last time I spoke to him, he was struggling his way through Birmingham. That's pretty traumatic for Allotment Fox. But this is going to be traumatic as well. £6.60 for the parking. Right, the Fox is now an hour and a half late, so I thought I'd take this opportunity while I'm in the car park to tell you about the road. It's Margary's 71A, Derby to Buxton. And we touched on the lower section of this a few weeks ago when we were searching for Lutu Durham with Penny. Now, whilst that section is contested, where we are today, from Minninglow, which we'll be having a look at, all the way up to Buxton, everybody is in agreement on where the Roman road is. And that is primarily for two reasons. It is marked for long stretches as dry stone walls and established parish boundaries. This is the section that we're looking at. We're walking along a track with the road marked by tumbled down walls, effectively one field up to our left. It's all private land. Maybe in places you can see faint traces of the road. The wall line is a bit wiggly. Throughout the whole of the length of this that we're looking at, it is marking the parish boundary. In the other direction, we can see that it remains in use for a short stretch on the approach to Pikehall. Anyhow, the Fox has now arrived, and he seemed to take the parking fee in his stride. I distracted him a bit by showing him my Margary, with which he seemed suitably impressed. I suggested this location as it seemed to be reasonably equidistant between our two studios. The fact that he was 1 hour, 37 minutes, 22 seconds late was just one of those things, and not a problem at all. Time to find out now how our charter reveals a Roman road. So, Tom, what is the age of this charter that we're looking at here today?
Oh, I don't
Do we not have a date for it?
There is a date on it, but I didn't look at that. I was looking at all the juicy details.
I got so wrapped up in this charter and Tom's enthusiasm for it that I purchased a document when I got back to the studio for £21. Super thanks. And in it, I learnt that it was only discovered in 1983. It is dated 963, and in it, King Edgar granted 5 hides. I will share the detailed examination of this charter with our members, and details of how to become one of those are available in the description down below. Who would have written this? Would it have been a monk?
They would have been the people who would have used a quill on parchment, but the people who decided what everything gets called it's not a monk. A unit went out with a priest on one of the charters and walk the bounds. That's down in Gloucestershire. Now so a unit is an important free servant of the landholder.
And this is written, obviously, we've got you here in the Midlands today, out of your comfort zone.
The north.
No, it's the Midlands. And via some form of overlay, I will show you the results of a survey that I did with our members on Facebook. Overwhelming majority said the Midlands, but never mind.
If it takes 4 hours to get here, it's the north.
We are in a different area to where Tom would normally be. Is the Old English different?
Yes. Oh, that's the good stuff. So there's a couple of bits in it where it says go in fria diena, right? And that's not Southern Old English. That's definitely not your standard. So
what is the cause of that? And you are favouring your camera over mine, aren't you?
No, I'm right in the middle of the screen.
Right, jolly good.
So the favourite, there's no favouritism with me. The so what's the reason for that? Well, Northerners have funny vowels, don't they? So even 1,000 years ago they did.
But this would have been written by a Mercian, wouldn't they? They're going to be a Mercian.
Yeah.
So what's that? They're an angle, aren't they?
Yeah.
So most of the time you're looking at Saxon areas, aren't you?
Gloucestershire is Mercian because it seems like it's in the south, but actually it's.
So you think it's just a regional dialect difference that you pick up?
Yeah. So it's instantly I knew what it meant. I just remarked on its strange vowels, but it's easy to understand. It's probably one of the easiest charters I've ever done.
For funny, Tom, we should really say Mercian. The style of this is Mercian rather than Saxon, and it's fascinating. There are 3 others that share this style. So it looks as though what Edgar did was to use one of the writers from the days when he was just the King of Mercia, as opposed to the King of Wessex.
So we're in the parish of Ballidon. I might not be pronouncing that correctly. And the charter calls it Ballidina, which means the dean, the valley of the belly, of the bulge. Data, I wish I'd also gone to the gym before coming out, because your camera weighs a bloody ton.
I ought to get a shot of what's happening here. 2 cameramen.
It's a steel tripod as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, robust.
Couldn't you have got aluminium?
There's our full boundary charter of 963 then. Can you spot our Roman road in there? What's that? Translation? There you go. And that's where we can see Margary 71A in old money, so to speak, as the English saw it. So, Tom, in terms of the charter, how do we know it's a Roman road? What's the bit of the charter that tells us we're looking at a Roman road here?
It says on long in strata and in Kinga strata, and the Kung might have been pronounced a little bit more like Kung or something like that. It's one of those sort of like Swedish-like vowels.
Now, I know that when we see strata, that's very often taken to be a Roman road. What's the significance of the king bit?
It means it's a government road. Right. They are long-distance roads, and the fact it's called King Street tells us that it is really, really important. There is a king's estate somewhere, and we're talking, in my mind, almost definitely we're talking lead. All the lead mining here, and we know in the medieval period, such minerals as lead belonged to the king. Right.
If ever we see king in a charter, King Strata, King Street, is that almost certainly going to denote a Roman road?
It's definitely a major state road. Strata, the early English didn't make roads. Nobody did it for like another 1,000 years. So they were repairing Roman ones.
Now, much of this charter that we're following today is still the parish boundary nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, how did that happen? How did these boundary charters end up becoming the parish charters? Do we have any knowledge of that?
We're very, very conservative. Around about, I'd say, just off the top of my head, about a half of them are pretty identical to what the Anglo Saxon estates they were originally. The church became part of the body that governed us.
Next stop, Minninglow, for prehistoric burials, respected and reused by the Romano British. Our road passes it to the north. In terms of Minninglow, does that actually appear in the charter? Do we see that name in the charter?
No, I'm glad you asked. It's handy you asked, because in the charter it mentions coming up to the Strat, and it says go up Friadina, and Fria is where we get the word frigging from. Right? So
as in frigging in the rigging.
As in frigging in the rigging. It's a proper word. It's not just made up. And it means love. Fria. It also gives the name
Fria love.
Yeah. What's interesting about it, there is an Old English word before minning, It's Old English. It's Yamina. Sorry, terrible. I hate these Y's. They're really hard. But it's it also Mina, and that means two things. It means remembrance, right?
Well, that works.
And it also means love. So we've got a valley, which might be that one down there, coming up to the King Strata, and that valley is called Love Dean.
The Valley of Love.
The Valley of Love.
Right, we are now at the Barrow, Minninglow, where we have these incredible tombs, chambered tombs, Neolithic. So this site started in the Neolithic. They are the typical Derbyshire type, sort of oval rather than long cairn. And these were excavated by the legendary Thomas Bateman. He is frowned upon nowadays, of course. He actually described himself as an opener of barrows. Now, the interesting thing about the site for us, our Roman road is passing respectfully over there to the north, is that as well as the Neolithic, we have a Bronze Age barrow. We have several Bronze Age features up here as well. And in one of these, Chamber 3, I think it was, they found 3rd and 4th century Roman pots and coins. So in the 3rd and the 4th century, when that road was an ancient thing for the Romano British, someone decided to come up here and reuse these tombs. I've just been chatting to Tom. I think that Thomas Bateman is a little bit of a kindred spirit. He was a little bit of a rebel. I mentioned he described himself as an opener of barrows. He didn't call himself an archaeologist. He actually did keep really good records. Modern archaeologists disapprove because he didn't really record much of the pre-dig process. And they see him as a treasure hunter because he dismisses potsherds and bones as being of no real interest. But he opened an incredible amount of barrows across this Midlands region and had a museum. I think all of his stuff has ended up in Sheffield Museum, something like that. And there are even poems about him. I might stick one of those on. In talk like this, the night advanced. No, I once told the timepiece glanced. For all, in fact, possess the will to make both sun and moon stand still. While old wives' tales and village gossip of bed and sleep quite made the loss up, and all exclaimed their grog while swinging. There's now on earth like barrow digging. Minninglow Barrow is there. I've come down to the edge of the field. They let you come in here and look. Really nice of them. There's the wall that we've seen on the maps and the drone footage running for miles and miles, marking the line of this Roman road and the parish boundary. And through there, I can see, it's really great. There's a very well-preserved road surface and agger there at this section. So they've got their perfect alignment running all the way up to Buxton, passing respectfully by what to them would have been absolutely ancient burials. They were over 3,000 years old. I noticed something when I was looking at the maps. This track, we've probably been looking at that road showing itself about here, used to be marked as the actual line as the Roman road at this point, as opposed to the walls and the parish boundary that we've been banging on about. So there's clearly been quite a bit of movement over the millennia. I think the road is showing clearly in the LiDAR there on the right. I love the Victorians, everything prehistoric, Celts. That's super, that is. Now, one of the things that interests me, we know that in areas of the country where We have Roman roads are marked by later hedgerows. They believe that came about by vegetation naturally establishing itself in the ditches of the Roman road. Later on, when the road was out of use, that formed a great natural sort of hedge that's then been manicured and developed over centuries. Doesn't work quite the same with walls, though. I suspect these are enclosure walls. I suspect here that they put the walls there following the road so in such a true fashion because of the parish boundary. I have, in a few other places, seen the wall, the limestone, dry stone wall, built on top of the agger. So rather than in the ditch, the agger providing a good sort of foundation for the field boundaries.
Well, I think walls don't lay themselves.
No, they don't grow, do they?
No.
So the old vegetation growing in a ditch argument that you see in hedged landscapes doesn't work, does it?
Yes, but even with a hedge and a ditch, a man's stock, he has to prevent them from eating it. He has to not plough them up. So it's a human decision to keep that it's a boundary.
Tom and I have come down the lane a little bit, and while he's having his lunch, behind us there we have another Bronze Age barrow. The interesting thing with this one is that Bateman opened that, again, the opener of barrows, and in that he found an Anglian necklace, 7th century. So we've got that continuity again, we've got that reuse. Anglian then, Tom, is Anglian English? Is that the same as English?
Yes, it could be a Romano British man who enjoys wearing foreign kit.
Likes a bit of bling. A great day with Tom in the Midlands then. We've got a road long disappeared but marking boundaries pretty much as laid out in a charter of 963. Margary tells us something of the construction of this road, whilst the charter provides a view of it over 1,000 years ago. And this has been as much a story of continuity along the course of 71A as it has been one about aggers and ditches, as each generation makes a claim for legitimacy in their landscape. A huge thanks to Tom for meeting me halfway, eventually, presenting Roman roads in the authentic voice of the English at the end of the first millennium AD. And it was heartwarming to see him having such fun with the flip. First time doing a charter in the Midlands, you've revealed that there are only 2 others. Are you going to come back and solve the other 2 Derbyshire charters?
I could have a look. It's a long drive, but thank you for inviting me up. I have enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been an interesting day. Apart from the North versus Midlands thing, we haven't really argued about too much, and we've seen some great scenery and a really interesting Roman road. So until next time, stay tuned.
Ta-da. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Don't give me